There was a point where my entire YouTube channel was practically an Antonio Brown channel. And in the summertime, this was like a huge joke. Like everyone was making fun of it because that's all I would post. But during that span of time, there was one piece of Antonio Brown information that ended up being followed through on and seems relevant today. So what's going on, guys? Before we get to the content, I just wanted to let you know that if you subscribe and hit my notification bell, you'll be entered for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. We're also doing multiple giveaways on Twitter and Instagram. Links to that's in the description down below if you want additional ways to potentially win the next gen consoles. On top of that, guys, we just dropped our limited edition 100,000 subscriber merch on microphone.org. This is a fantastic way to literally say that you've been a day one supporter of the channel because the merch literally says 100,000 subscribers on it. It's a fantastic way to say you've been a day one supporter, and we're definitely going to be growing, but there's only going to be a select few people that have day one subscriber microphone merch. A link to that's in the description down below. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, you want to hear something absolutely terrifying? In the summertime, there were rumors about Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown was primarily linked to two teams. The Baltimore Ravens, because, well, the Baltimore Ravens was the NFL's hottest offense. They still are one of the hottest offenses in the NFL, with his cousin as one of the star wide receivers on the offense. But eventually, we found out that the Baltimore Ravens didn't want to bring in Antonio Brown, mainly because of all the off-the-field issues that he had. Although their head coach, John Harbaugh, said that he doesn't hold it against the Ravens to potentially bring him in, and he's going to defer all of that stuff to their general manager. Meanwhile, you had Russell Wilson literally campaigning for Antonio Brown in the summertime. And bear in mind, Russell Wilson has a fantastic wide receiver core. He has Tyler Lockett, he has DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf, I don't know if you guys have noticed, really took the next step forward as a wide receiver this year. So by default, the Seattle Seahawks are doing remarkable. Russell Wilson's doing remarkable. To give you an idea of how good Russell Wilson's been so far this year, he's really close to catching up to the amount of touchdowns he's thrown last year in literally 5 games. He has 19 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, has thrown for 1,500 yards, and has the greatest completion percentage of his entire career with a 73% completion percentage. His team at the time of this video, the Seattle Seahawks, are also undefeated, and that's before I mentioned the yardage he gains through the ground. And here's the thing, whenever you have an undefeated team, you tend to be very careful about who you bring in. You don't want to potentially mess up the chemistry that the roster has. But the Seattle Seahawks have a very unique opportunity here because the Seahawks currently are awaiting on Josh Gordon to see when he's going to be reinstated. And even more incredible news, there's a former All-Pro wide receiver that is still a free agent whose suspension is going to end at the end of next week. Now, for those of you guys that don't know who I'm talking about, it's Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson's been wanting to play with Antonio Brown for about 2 years. There's never been a better opportunity for him. But you have to also wonder, what about Josh Gordon? Well, Pete Carroll was actually asked about the situation. And when he was asked about Josh Gordon's situation and what that has to do with the Seahawks potentially signing Antonio Brown, he said, "We don't know any more than really you do at this point. We're just waiting it out for work from the league." But don't be fooled, ladies and gentlemen, because it appears as though the Seahawks are positioned to make a push to sign Antonio Brown. This comes off of a report by Adam Schefter himself saying that with Antonio Brown's suspension eligible to end after week 8, the Seattle Seahawks are now positioned to make a push to sign him. Though they're not alone, league sources tell ESPN other teams are also interested. Guys, I can think of so many teams that could potentially go out and sign Antonio Brown. And I think the Seattle Seahawks are a fantastic way for him to jump on a team that's already doing really well and potentially put himself in a position to win a Super Bowl, because the Seahawks defense is stacked. They recently traded for Jamal Adams this past offseason. Their offense is absolutely on a tear, with Russell Wilson putting up ridiculous stats and definitely my leading candidate for the NFL MVP. However, you also have to bear in mind that if Antonio Brown goes to Seattle, there's going to be a tough reality he's going to have to face. There's a lot of weapons in Seattle, especially if Josh Gordon comes back. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, Josh Gordon does come back. You have to compete with Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Greg Olsen, and Josh Gordon for targets from Russell Wilson. And what's going to happen if Antonio Brown doesn't get the ball from Russell Wilson? Because in the past, we've seen him stamp his feet literally. This is the reason why he's not in Pittsburgh anymore, because he stamped his feet and literally got angry at his quarterback for not throwing him the ball. Like, he missed the final game of the season, his potential final game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Ben Roethlisberger didn't target him enough. That's literally the reason why Antonio Brown got traded to the Oakland Raiders, and there was different drama in Oakland, but what happens if he brings that to Seattle? The Seahawks are in perfect harmony right now, and I'm sure Antonio Brown sees that. And if he's smart and he's actually taking a look at the bigger picture, he has to come to a conclusion about what he wants. Does he want to be the number one wide receiver on a team, which, by the way, he's probably not going to step into a number one role wherever he goes, but does he want a high target share on a lesser team, or does he want a smaller target share on a team that could potentially contend? And that's what he has to ask himself, because if you want a higher target share on a lesser team, then the Houston Texans pop into mind, man. You look at Deshaun Watson, he's literally looking for a guy that he could chuck the ball to downfield. Ever since they lost DeAndre Hopkins, they've been looking for some sort of replacement for D-Hop, and Antonio Brown seems to be the ideal individual to do that. I would say the New England Patriots, because the Patriots are absolutely desperate for a wide receiver, but I don't really understand or know what Bill Belichick's relationship with Antonio Brown is, or maybe Antonio Brown's a little bit bitter and doesn't want to go there either. I don't know if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a good option either. I know Antonio Brown's very fond of Tom Brady, but I think the only other team, besides all the teams that I've already mentioned, besides the Seahawks and the Texans, that kind of makes sense in my head is the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is getting the start after the bye week, and I think it's a great opportunity for them to go out, sign Antonio Brown. I don't know if Antonio Brown could be available in practices during his suspension, but the Dolphins are in a bye week right now. You could bring in Antonio Brown and instruct him and get him acclimated to the offense, introduce him to Tua Tagovailoa, and give Tua two really good options in Devontae Parker and Antonio Brown to throw to during his rookie debut. So let me know in the comment section down below, where do you think Antonio Brown's going to go? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.